Okay.
Welcome. My name is Matthew Tomer, and today is August 18th, 2024. This interview is being conducted at the Gulf Coast Community Foundation at approximately 3 o'clock. This oral history is part of the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Class of 2024. The focus is hearing stories of local, multi-generational business. And we'll start with asking you to state your name, your business, and what service you provide.
My name is Liz Maggio. My husband and I own Reflections in Gold. We've been here 44 years and we've been in business 42 years.
So, when and how did your business begin?
Well, we came to Florida in 1980. 1980, we moved down here and we bought a house and then we bought a business. But we didn't buy going to the jewelry business. In New York, I was in the jewelry business. I was a hairdresser. He was a New York City detective. So when we moved here, he wanted a business that we're going to work together. But anyway, it's it was a disaster. We paid $300,000 for it, and nothing they told us was right. That we had an accountant and a lawyer. Were terrible. So we didn't go bankrupt. We honored all our debts, and we closed the business. And then we opened. I said, "Let's, I'm in the jewelry business. Let's send Michael to jewelry school, my son." So we sent him to Miami for 2 years. There was a man that had just retired and he opened up a studio. And my son learned every aspect of the jewelry business. And he was working there, coming home only on the weekends. So come home on the weekends, and we still had Deco Arts, the business that we were closing. So we put a showcase in that outer office. And my brother-in-law worked at the hospital. We made friends with a lot of other people, and they would
a
come
workbench.
and buy jewelry from me. And they kept me alive while we were closing Deco Watts. From coming down with money, we didn't even have $5 to go to Kissing Cousins, if you know what Kissing Cousins was years ago. Everything but the kitchen sink for $3.99. But we'd tell our friends, "Oh, go eat, come on back over after you have coffee with us. We ate already." Meantime, we didn't have the money. But after we sent Michael to jewelry school, we right next door to Patches, there was a strip mall, and my friend owned the strip mall. He says, "Liz, I'll rent you the spot there, no first, no last, whatever." I says, "Okay." So we took it. We borrowed $2,500 to have cabinets made. We had the cabinets made. On October 29th, 1982, we had a grand opening, and all the people from the Italian American Club, because we're one of the originals with the Italian American Club, came. And it was a little 700 square feet. You couldn't even get in the place. And the rest is history, honey. From then on, from there we stayed 3 years. Then we moved to Venice Isle Plaza. We were there 7 years. And then Bonds went out of business, where the new shopping plaza is now? Well, Bonds and Publix used to be in there. Bonds wanted to go to the malls. So the real estate agent called us and said, "Do you want to take that store?" I said, "It's Christmas time. I can't move right now." I said, "But if you hold it for me, we'll take it in January." So that's what we did. We took that store and we were there for 9 years. In the interim, my husband saw this building that we're in now, and he says, "Liz, we're going to go buy that building." I said, "What, are you crazy? You tell me you want to retire, you want to buy a building," right? It was the best decision we ever made. And we bought that building and we gutted it. The building was a furniture store, and it was Liz's Interiors, and my name, right? But when Liz sold it, she sold it to a guy that made the Montessori school for kids. And then, but it was a school that the kids had to pay to go to that school. Now, all of a sudden, Montessori comes into town and it's free. So she had no going business. They weren't going to pay her when they can go there free. And then her parents had gotten sick and they moved to Ocala. So she closed the store and moved up there, the shop rather, and moved up there. So we went in, we bought it, and it took us about 18 months in.
It took us a little longer because of the permitting and they were giving me a little bit of a hard time on everything that I turned in, so I'd lose some time. So now it's getting near Christmas. I said, we're not gonna move now. We're gonna move after the holiday. And that's exactly what we did.
So we moved in October.
And I'm glad we did that because we didn't skip a beat. And from the time we moved from uh,
The shopping center.
our last store, which was a public shopping center that went out of business, and it was getting a little shopping center was getting a little dirty and whatnot, and like that's why I bought the building, and from there was history. We after and when did we move? Actually,
We opened our first store October 29th, 1982, and we opened where the building we're in now. It'll be 20 years, October 29th, 2024.
and
We moved in 2004
we had an opening house party where we had
with over
roughly
600 people.
in and out, not at one time, in and out. We
Yeah,
were
but it
busy
was
all day long. We had mostly food. They couldn't do any shopping. It was mostly
Yeah, it was
a
just
party.
to wish us luck and whatnot.
And we had a photographer there and everything else. So
Yeah, it was wonderful.
and we sent out invitations to all of our customers, and we put it in the paper too.
So that's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
So, what drew you to Venice to leave your career and to leave
I'll tell you,
your
my girlfriend's
jewelry?
aunt and uncle lived here, and she was visiting them for 2 months. My best friend. We did everything together. We always went in some kind of business with Lucy and Ethel. We were. So she was here for the 2 months visiting her aunt. We were taking his mother had just become a widow, and we were going to Miami to meet his cousin with his 2 kids. So my girl says, "You coming to Florida? Come and see me in Venice." I said, "I ain't going to that godforsaken Venice. What are you, crazy?" So she nagged me and nagged me. I said, "All right, I'll take my mother-in-law to St. Pete to see her in-laws. We'll come down, we'll spend a couple of days with you. We'll go across to Miami and spend the rest with Joni and Sal." We went across to Miami for 5 days. We stayed everything here in Venice. We loved it. And for 8 years, we came on vacation every February. We left in a snowstorm with our heads like this, my girlfriend, her husband, and her baby in their car, and me and my husband and my 2 kids. And then in 71, that was 71. In 73, we bought our property. My girlfriend and I bought a piece. We always wanted a house on the water. In New York, it was so expensive, we could never do it. So down here, in Overbrook Gardens, we saw 2 pieces of property, and it had a little sign on it, "For sale." So we called him in. He was from Alabama. He says, "How much are those 2 pieces of property?" He says, "13,000. I says, "Each?" He said, "Each." And we bought them. My girlfriend bought one, and I bought one. And we held on to it because he wasn't ready to retire. But my in-laws came to see our property. My sister-in-law moved here in 76. My mother-in-law moved here my sister-in-law moved in 74. My my mother-in-law moved in 76. My kid sister-in-law moved in 78, and we moved in 80. We found Venice, but they all came before us. And they're all still here, except the ones that passed away.
So you have a lot of history and a lot of family. Out of everything, what would be one of your favorite stories from your business and the whole time of getting it
Oh,
going?
there's so many. I can go on and on with stories.
When we first started our business, things were a little tough. So we could manage all our bills and whatnot. I took a job in let me start off. Next door to where our store was, there was a mailing machine. So I took a job with them selling mailing machines. I went to Venice Hospital trying to sell them a mailing machine. When one of my fellow officers that I worked with years ago in New York City, he told the administrator that I was very experienced. I worked almost every squad in the detective division in Manhattan South, from burglary squad to detectives task force to I wound up in the 13th precinct for a while. I was at the homicide squad for a short while, and so now when we retired, I took that job at Venice Hospital, and I was working midnights. And I told the administrator we just started a new business, and I don't know how long I'll last, but I said I'll work midnights. He says, well, if you want to work steady midnights, I have to get someone else. I said, well, I had a detective that worked with me in Manhattan South. And I know we sell him real estate. He may be very glad to take a position. So I called him, and both of us ran the midnight shift at Venice Hospital. Now, I only was going to take it for a short while, but I enjoyed working there. And I brought more repair work home to do.
Free.
Most of it was for free, but all the nurses in the hospital, and I enjoyed it very much. So I stayed there until my administrator, they really forced them out. And the director of engineering came over to me one night and said, I want you to relieve the telephone. I said, I work alone. I go to the outside, the side door of the hospital to let out the nurses there from I'm looking for the main.
The shift, the last shift.
No, it was critical care. So they left at 3:00 in the morning. 11:00 I was here, and the second floor was a problem floor. So right after I got off the door, I went to the second floor, see what was happening there. And then I worked my way around every floor until I got to the top. And before you know it, it was time to go home. And that's why I enjoyed it, because I was busy all night long, and I enjoyed that.
And when he left there, all I did was get phone calls. Don't let him quit. Don't let him quit. I said, it's not my choice. He says, I want to be a telephone operator. He wanted him to man the phones. But I can go on and on with stories as far as that goes.
So you two are obviously leaders, coming from your law enforcement background, coming from your New York jewelry. How would you describe yourself as a business leader and you as a person down here with your business as a leader?
Well, what happened when we first moved down here, we bought that other business, and it was a mistake the way we bought it. So we got out of it, and we paid everybody that we had to pay and whatnot, but it left us with nothing. So by this time here, losing my train of thought, left us with nothing. So for this time here, we started the other business, and we started in a 700 square foot next to Patches restaurant. And from there we went to.
I said that before. We went to Venice Plaza, and then we went to where Publix is, and now we're in our own building.
Yeah.
So as a leader in business, how would you describe yourself? How did you approach it as a leader to build your business from nothing?
I'm very active in the community. This, like I said, when we first started, people would just come and buy jewelry from me, in the warehouse that we were closing. And they stood by me. I had customers that would come in just to keep me alive, would buy a chain. One lady said, I can't buy a chain today, Liz. I got to get a haircut. I said, come on, I'm a hairdresser by trade. I said, come on, I'll give you a haircut, then you could buy the chain. So I gave her a haircut. We're friends today, 30 years. So, and I'm very active with the community. I was the president of the Cancer Society. I was the president of the Volunteer Center South. I was on the board with Women's Resource Center. I give to everybody. I don't care who it is. This town was very good to me when we didn't have nothing. So I give back. And there isn't anything I wouldn't do for anybody in this town.
It's a special town.
It is. It's wonderful.
Do you have any traditions in your business? Any business traditions?
We have our Christmas party every year, the first week in December. At Easter, I make an Italian Easter pie. They call it pizzagina. So a lot of my customers, if they hear I'm sick, they'll cook for me. They'll bring me in food. They're unbelievable. So I only make these pies once a year. So I started out making just a couple. 2 years ago, I made 57 pies. You have to get on my list. To buy the pie in the store, it's like $75. It's like an Italian quiche. So last year, I only made, then the following year, I made 42. And this year, I only made 27. I said, I'm getting too old for these things. But if you get on my list, you can get a pie. So it's just little things like that we do in the store. And now that he's been so sick and I had to retire, which was terrible for me, my grandson runs my store. I have a grandson that is my pride and joy. And he runs the store. a little different than I do, but I tell them I don't care who comes in. If you got to give them $100 gift card or a gift, whatever, you make sure you give to everybody in this town. And he follows. So I tell him, when I walk into that yacht club and somebody says, you know, I wasn't happy the way I got treated with your grandson, I said, you're out of here. But when I walk into that yacht club, they'll say, oh, your grandson's so wonderful. It is. So when I retired, I gave every one of my clients my telephone number. I says, if you need me here, I will be here. I'm 5 minutes away from the store. I know Anthony will take care of you just like I will. So once a couple of them, still the old ones, they want me there, so I'll run over. But once they meet my grandson, I'm like chopped liver, you know.
This is more than a business.
Yeah, it's my life. Yeah.
That's really special. Venice is unique. I
It-
don't know any other place that has as many businesses that are thought of the way you guys think of your business. It's a common theme amongst everyone.
That's how I became friends with Mike Pachota from Patches. He owned Patches.
He was just here earlier.
Yeah. And so we went there every morning for breakfast. And then they became good customers of mine, you know. We make all his charms that he puts the diamonds in for his employees. I did Justin's ring. I did the other son's ring. You know, I'm very into with the doctors. Not only do I did their kids, now I'm doing their grandkids' engagement rings and wedding rings.
You're a true fabric of this
Yeah.
community. So when we talk about this community and significant events in history, do you remember any significant events and how did they impact your business, whether it be COVID or hurricane?
You know, like I said, like when we used to have the Sun Fiesta, the Italian American Club used to have a float. And I was always on the float with a girlfriend of mine. We'd do the things like, you know, stamping the grapes like Lucy and Wall did. I was Mother Caprini, you know, and right now, every time they do the Sun Fiesta, either I'm a judge, but even if I'm not a judge, I give them the crown and I give each girl a pendant. I've been doing it for 20 some odd years already.
So this is not gonna be hard for you. What are you the proudest of?
Proudest of my grandson taking over my business.
That's especially
He's been in my store since he's an infant. And when my son moved down with my daughter-in-law and him, I said to my husband, I said, I do not want the baby in the store. This is a place of business. Comes 11 o'clock, he would disappear. And all of a sudden he'd be coming in, live with this baby. I said, what is he doing here? He says, he didn't like daycare, Liz. I said, Anthony, he's 3 months old. Did he say, Grandpa, I don't like daycare? He says, yeah. The kid hated daycare from then until when he was older. But
And he's still there, still in the store.
and he's still, so people people see him, he's, are you that little kid running around with the blonde hair? He says, yeah, that's the little kid with the blonde hair. So I'm very proud.
I had him on a bench cutting the heads out of pennies and make a bracelet. And then I had him cutting the eagle out of a quarter. And he did it perfectly after that. And the only mistake he made was I said, now you want to make it into a pendant, put a bail on it. So he got a bail and he soldered it on. He was so thrilled that he picked it up before he cooled it. I said, now you're a jeweler.
So I know you're retired now, but
I'm
feel like you're
semi-retired.
still very involved.
Yes, I
Oh, yeah,
am.
we both are.
So where do you see your business headed in the next 10 years?
My grandson sees it like tripling what we do now when we do it
He's got different ideas
years than
than us.
us.
I think he's gonna look to do a second store someplace else.
How do you feel about that?
That's fine.
I have as long as
But he wants me to run it. He wants it in Sarasota. He says, Graham, you go to Sarasota. I'll be down here. If you need me, I'll run up. Because we were going to do a store in Sarasota with my son.
I
But,
told him, look at me, get it out of your head. I'm not going there.
but me, it's right up my alley. I would like to have one in the Ritz-Carlton. When I go there, and all their prices are so outrageous. I'm a shopper. My prices, nobody beats my prices. So if I'm willing to pay my prices, you know they're good.
So what's your favorite part then about running a
Diamonds.
business? Okay.
I go to Belgium, I buy the diamonds. I haven't gone the past 2 years because of him, but I want to go with my grandson. He hasn't been to Belgium. And we belong to 2 buying groups. Each group has 2 jewelry shows all over the country. And then the one main one is in Las Vegas. and that's my favorite place. So he hates Vegas. I love Vegas. But I work from 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night when the show stops, and then I play from 7 o'clock on.
Most times you go to dinner with one of the manufacturers.
Manufacturers,
And after that, 11 o'clock, she decides to play. I go to the room.
so that's why he hates Vegas. But I haven't gone in 2 years, and it's driving me nuts.
You don't lack for energy.
No, not me. No.
To this day, she doesn't.
That's amazing. Are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
And then, so,
I also
When
belong to
can-
Satoma.
and so, okay, when did you join the chamber?
Oh,
And how many years have you been a member, roughly?
oh,
Since we started.
since we started.
We said the
joined.
first year I joined it.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
used to have the shows. You know, when they go to a store and what do they call it when they do a show at the store?
At
They
our
do
store?
no, at any store, like
Oh,
the chamber.
yeah.
Every month they would have a different business.
Different
and
business
They
go to
go
the
to your
chamber.
business and to promote it, and all us members would go. Well, I used to do that, right? Yeah, so I used to do that. Very involved with it.
So over the years, how has the chamber impacted your business?
Well, we registered with the chamber, and if we got any kind of complaint, which were very, very few, if any, and they would call us, and I would make it right. We would
Yeah,
both make it right.
one lady.
And I don't think we had more than 3,
No,
all the years we're in
really
business.
only one, that one lady. And the guy at the chamber, who I knew very well, says, Liz, I know it couldn't have been you to do this. She was saying, I even forgot what it was, that the price wasn't right, we did something, but it wasn't true. She just wanted it for nothing. So we went to a mediator and we won, but the chamber got in with that and helped us.
Another woman came in to redo her ring, which she had done about a year before that. And Liz asked her, why we just did that last year? She said, I really wasn't crazy about it. Liz did it over again for nothing.
For free. If I do a custom ring for you, usually if we do a custom ring, we get a wax, you could put it on your fingers, say, I don't want this, I want that, we'll change it for you, make another wax. We don't charge you for the waxes. People charge $300 to $500 for the wax. I do so much business with this one company in California, he doesn't charge me. So, and I tell him, once you give the approval, it's done. But if somebody really hates it, I take it, what is it going to cost me? So I do it
Yeah.
over. If I did it in the 42 years that I'm in business, if I did it 5 times, it's a lot. You know, so we stand behind anything we sell. A stone falls out, we repair it free of charge. You know,
So it
so
sounds like joining the chamber in your mind wasn't an option. Was there a deciding factor that made you join the chamber when you started your business?
We just thought it was right to do that. Because before I was thinking about moving down there years ago, I had a factory manufacturing women's undergarments and whatnot. And I went to the Chamber of Commerce when it was not there where it is now. It was a little office. And that's when I realized the chamber and what they did. So when I finally did move down here, we joined as soon as I got the business. I don't think we were in business 6 months when I joined it,
Yeah.
if that long.
yeah.
So when it comes to you and your business, how do you want to be remembered?
I don't know.
We'd like to be remembered for all the things we did to pay back Venice, and we didn't refuse anybody anything.
And last
And-
year, they honored me the
They honored you for
what's the
business of the year.
no, that I got in '95. Last year, the Senior Friendship Center gave me a black tie affair with a band at the yacht club for what I do for the community. So I want to be known for what I do for my community, and that my grandson's going to follow in my footsteps.
And C.J. Fishman was a
Yeah.
commentator on it.
Yeah. So, but it was wonderful. They had a band for me. I mean, I didn't expect it, but one of the people that are on the board said, it's about time Liz Maggio gets awarded for all the things she does in Venice. And I was so honored, I couldn't begin to tell you.
Really special.
Yeah.
So when you take your lifetime of business and history, if you could pass on one piece of advice or wisdom to future generations in Venice, what would it
If you're starting a business, be honest, stand behind anything you sell. Your integrity means a lot. So I would say just
And give back to the
you need to
community.
give back to the community.
be? So this ends the official questions. I want to thank you both for being here
You're
and
welcome.
being so open and honest and letting us learn about your business and how you came to join this amazing little town that we live in. Is there anything I didn't ask that we should know, or anything you want to tell us? Any memories over the years? Anything that sticks out?
All we have is good memories
Good
from all the
memories.
people we met in town.
Oh, I could tell you some funny ones.
Within business and out of business, we met some fabulous people in town. Most of them are gone now. And now we're in God's waiting list.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a very wealthy clientele. They'd come in, spend 70,000, 100,000 without blinking an eye. But then 08 hit,
But
and
we
their
did this-
portfolios dropped. There was no more.
But we did the same treatment. You spent $10, $100, or $1,000. It made no difference. And we were a down to earth store. We weren't stuffy or whatnot. The people would come in, they would just talk to us. Some of our customers just come in
My
and say
brother
hello.
used to work for me. He says, they don't leave. They stay here for hours. I said, if I'm cooking, they'll leave, because I'm a fantastic cook and I bring it in for the kids at the store. But it's just a happy place.
When it came through 08, or how tough were those times?
It
08
tough.
was a bad
Yeah,
year for us.
Very bad year. But
What
we pulled
advice
out of
would
it.
you give someone who goes through a future economy downturn?
Just stick to it and don't give up.
What I can say is if you're having a hard time with your bills, don't neglect them. Just call up and show that you still care and send them something.
Like when I first
And
took,
most of our vendors during hard times in 08, in fact, I got vendors that called me up. They said, "Don't worry about it. In January we'll get together and we'll make some kind
yeah,
of agreements to get out of it."
Good.
And basically, I think I only had two or three vendors that were very, very good to me. I mean, really, really good to me. And the rest of them,
because we always pay. Like my grandson, I took him and my granddaughter also worked for me. And I took them to Vegas. So there's like 4,700 vendors. We're walking down the first aisle and all you hear is, Liz, Liz. My grandson says, Grandma, why are they all calling your name? I says, because I pay. I don't let I'll go home with no money, but my bills get paid.
what about the other you got from the other group?
That's the only bad part. We're getting forgetful.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about it in went over the border there.
Which one?
You got the one that Anthony went to the show.
Oh, that's right. My grandson, we were going on a cruise.
That was in Georgia.
In Georgia. I got Business of the Year, the best jewelry store on the Eastern Seaboard for what I do in the community. So my son was very sick, and then he passed away. And then we had booked this cruise, and just to get away, because we were so stressed out of it, we were going on the cruise. As I'm leaving, the week before, they called me that I got this award. I says, I'm leaving to go on a cruise next week. They says, well, we'll fly you. We'll come and fly you off the ship. I said, what, are you crazy? No. I said, I have a grandson that runs my business with his wife. I says, I will send them. So he went and he wrote a speech. They didn't tell him he had to write a speech. He went in the bathroom and he wrote the most gorgeous speech, because he called me on the ship, texted me, and I read it, and I was crying and crying. But he went and received the award. So I got Business of the Year in Venice in 1995, I think it was. or 93.
That's from the JBT, Jewelers Board of Trade.
Yeah, but I got loads of it, of awards. But like I said, I stand behind whatever I do. The church called me one day. They had this young girl. She was pregnant. They wanted to get married. They had no money for rings. I said, "You send them in to me." So I got them their rings, gave them to him free of charge. The day after the wedding, they had invited us to the wedding, but we couldn't go. We had other commitments. They came in with a dozen red roses for me. I want you to know her husband came in last year. They have 2 children now. He has a lawn business. They're doing very, very well. I says, see, that makes my day. When you see a kid like that, you can help. You know, it's just unbelievable.
Your legacy will surely live on for generations.
I hope
in this
so.
city after here.
Yes,
I
it-
just learned-
One other young man came in. He wanted to buy a diamond ring on credit. I said, "What could you afford?" And basically he didn't earn much money or whatnot. I said, "If you want to do a smart thing, pick out an engagement setting. We'll put a CZ in it at my cost or whatnot, and you give it that. But don't tell her it's a diamond. Tell her it is. When you're ready to replace it, I'm not going to put a very big one in there. I'm going to put one in about 90 points a carat, so that when you're ready to do that, I'll take the stone out of that, put it back in that ring, and she still has it. And you don't have a payment to worry about that you're probably going to not pay, and then you're going to owe more money on it." He came in about a year later. We bought a 1 carat diamond.
Yeah. And one day we had a customer come in. He said he had a glass eye. He says, "Can you polish this?" I gave it to my son. He polished it because it was glass. He polished his eye. Then another time, one of my customers, she died, and she had this poodle that she loved. And she then told her husband that when she died, when the poodle died, she wanted his ashes put in with her ashes. So one day I get a call from him. He says, "Liz, I need a favor for you. I can't do it." He says, "Beth died, but I have the dogs just died. Can you put his ashes?" So I said, "Yeah, come on in." So he left. He wouldn't even stay there. So I opened up the jar, and I had a jeweler there, an older man. He says, "This is going far and beyond
My job.
my job duty, my job description." So we took the bag and we put it right on top of hers. We closed it. I called him. He says, "You did it already?" I said, "Yeah, I did it already." So we got wonderful stories. Very few with complaints. I can count on one hand how many complaints.
You guys ever just sit around and reminisce
Yes,
about the stories?
yeah, we
That's
do.
awesome.
I'm trying to remember them because we're getting forgetful. He's 84, I'm 82.
I got a lot of my customers they question me about my police time, and I was in uniform for 8 years, and I worked in a very bad area, Brownsville, in Brooklyn, and then from there I went to detective division. So I have quite a few funny stories. Most stories I don't tell because they're not funny. They're gruesome, really. But I met a lot of nice people in the job also, and I met a lot of bad people too.
And then one story was we had a doctor in town that did all his grandkids, all his kids' engagement rings. His mother had passed away, and they're pretty well off. And he said he had this ring. It was a 5-carat pear-shaped ruby, a smidgen shy of pigeon blood, and it had marquees, all 40-point marquees all around it. But it was like when we first started, we didn't have a
Just in the
competition or a
early
window to
days.
throw it out of. So, I couldn't buy it, but I said, "I'll take it in on consignment." So I was going to the jewelry show, and my son's friend sells me diamonds. His mother and father had a booth there they sell the slide bracelets. He says, "I'll take it with me." So now we're walking the show, and I stop at this booth. It's maybe this big, a little square booth, and the guy's there, and we start talking, and I says, "I haven't said, I have a ring that I have to sell." He says, "Where is it?" I said, "It's at my friend's booth." He says, "Go get it." So I go and get it, and we go over to GIA. He tests it. It's a smidgen shy of pigeon blood. He says, "I'll give you $15,000 for it." Now we're back at his booth. And I'm saying, he says, "I see your face." He said, "You just met me. You don't know if I'm going to give you the money." I says, tell you the truth, yeah, I just met you. I don't own the piece. It's my customers. He says, take anything you want in the showcases. So that was when Tanzanite just came into effect. Tiffany had discovered Tanzanite in Tanzania. So he had 4 rings there. They were all marked $12,000 each. So I said, if it's triple key, it's $4,000. 4 rings is 16,000. He don't pay me. I got these 4 rings. They were beautiful rings. So he says, take anything. So I took the 4 rings. You can't bring any jewelry out of the show. I put one here, one here, one here. And I go up to the room and I put it in the safe. We get home from the show and he says, the check is in the mail. That was 40 years ago. I'm still doing business with this man today.
Only now he had a 10-foot booth then. Now he's got a booth that's probably
The
50,
whole
50
this
foot
whole
square.
section right here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And we're
If
still
they-
doing business with him today.
So before the show, he would take a 5-room suite and he'd bring like $15 million worth of jewelry up there. And my sister used to come with me a lot of times on this show. And so I would be up there, I'll take this, I'll take this. And I brought all my friends that we belong to the buying groups. They all, between all of us, we bought $1.3 million worth of jewelry. He says to me, what do you want? I said, I don't want nothing. I says, you treat them the way you treat me, I'll be thrilled to death. Well, my sister, I had these diamond earrings on. My sister says, I'm going to be 60. Can you buy me those earrings? I said, those earrings are $20,000. You're crazy. Well, at the end of the show, while we were up there, he gave my sister a 3-carat diamond tennis bracelet. He gave her a 1-carat diamond cross, and he gave her diamond hoop earrings, not 20,000, like the thinner ones. And my sister starts crying. She says, I can't take these from you. He says, oh, yes, you are. He says.
Should have taken a commission.
And then the other thing, I bought my husband a Rolex, right? Oh, when I was in New York.
She bought me a knockoff
Knockoff.
Rolex.
I was in Manhattan by my sister. My niece was being operated, so I went up there to be with her. And you didn't buy them off the street. You had to go around the block, knock 3 times, and I paid $400 for this Rolex, fake one. So I come home from New York, and I say, Anthony, I got you the real fake Rolex.
No, she
So
said that to
he
me.
hands it to me. It even weighs the same as a real Rolex. I hand it to him, and he says, I can't wear this. I says, why can't you wear this? He says, when you wear the fake diamond, I'll wear the fake Rolex. See, I won't tell you what I called him, but anyway. And I sold the watch to one of my customers. He was getting married in Las Vegas. And he took a picture when they were getting married with the watch on his wrist. So now we go to Vegas and we go to Nada's booth, and he takes 70 people out to dinner every.
By this time, we're very friendly with Nada.
Yeah. So now, while we're up there at this 5-room suite, he tells Nada the story that I just told you. He says, you bought my friend a fake Rolex? I says, Nada, don't start with me. I'm going to leave all this jewelry here, right? So that night, we had to go to another party before we went to his party. We get to his party. There's a big horseshoe of all the people around. He says, Liz, Tony, your seat's over there. He says, Tony, there's a Rolex in there on your counter. He says, is that the one you want? He says, yeah, the bill is in the mail for you, Liz. My friend's getting a real Rolex. That's how he got his first Rolex.
They're good friends.
So, yeah, till today.
But this time, we're dealing with him of 10, 15 years ago.
And when the way I told you the story, every time he takes everybody out to dinner, he tells the same story. He said, I got to tell this story. It's a classic. And his father, may he rest in peace, he made this pin of all diamonds and pearls. And I bought one for myself. And I sold 3 of them. They're all like one of a kind. When I would go to his father and say, give her better prices, give her better prices. My sister died, right? Nada sent me a basket if it had to be this big. He loved her. My sister was a real fun person. So I got stories like this with all my vendors. And it's just wonderful. I just love everything I do about it. And I create, now my grandson's creating. I told him now I want him to make copies of all his custom jobs. He's got 4 books this big now. I didn't do that with mine. I had a couple at the end but he's got 4, and one's just rings, one's pendants, one's necklaces. He's doing a great job, and that makes me so proud. So,
In fact, the people just actually describe what they like or whatnot. He draws a picture of it, puts
yeah.
it in the computer, and eventually makes a wax.
And we send it to Nada. We send the
Try it. If
wax.
you don't like it, well, change this, change that, or make another wax. And
He
the
sends.
person will take the wax, and they like it. Okay, we'll do it, and we make it.
Yeah, he sends a picture to Nada, and Nada makes the wax. Well, not Nada, you know, it's a big operation, and he makes the wax. He sends it to us. I have one girl, the girl that waits on me all the time. Her name is Kathy. She'll say, Liz, I need customers. We're in Vegas. We sit down to have lunch, and there's 3 guys here. I said, do you ever go to Nada's Malligan's? He says, no. I says, they're right down here. They're fantastic. They went down there. 2 of them, one spent 100,000 and one sent 80,000. So every time, because I go to I know his stock better than they know his stock. So I told him, I'm going to retire. Can I come to work? He says, you got a job, baby, anytime you want.
You're not saying we belong to 2 buying groups, and most of Native's customers come from her, from the 2 groups.
There you go.
You're a real connector.
Yes.
Is what I'm learning.
She's that way, like she's in town. Basically,
If I love something, like when I'm at the jewelry show, somebody will say, Liz, who's got the best tennis bracelets? Go to so-and-so, blah, 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 over here. Who's got this? Go over here. Because I'm a shopper. You know, I'm not a name brand person.
she don't miss a
I make
boot.
the clothes, you know? So that's even with the jewelry. It's, I want it to be different. I try not to buy double because I don't want everybody wearing the same thing. Chains, you're going to have duplicates. You can't help that, you know, and stuff. But on rings and stuff, I want it special for my customers. So that's about it.
Well, that
Right.
was amazing, guys. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
I'm glad we got to get that recorded. It will be archived in the Venice Museum, and
So
we
we
will
can-
be able to look this up 30, 40, 50 years from now.
So it's going
Thank
to be, can we go look at it when it's in the
Once
museum?
it's all done, we'll reach out and give you the means, or we'll send you a copy. But
Oh, that would be
once it
wonderful.
gets edited and everything, and it'll live far past any of us.
That'll be great.
So hopefully people will continue to do business like you did business down
Right.
here for next 100 years.
See, my grandson's 3rd generation. My sons were after us, but they got fired.
One died.
One died and one got fired. But my grandson, it's different with your grandkids.
They're special.
Well, my grandson had a band, and when I was ready to retire about 8 years ago,
Yeah.
8 years ago, and I said to him, "You want to make money, or you want to share $100 with 4 guys?"
No, he asked me, what happened was, he had a band since he's 15 years old, and he had the big ears, you know. I said, but when he came to work, he took him out, but you could still see him. I says, when you grow up and you're really ready, oh, he has to go, if you can go leave early to go over to the East Coast, he had a gig. Came back from the gig, I says, how much did you make? He says, we made $100. I says, oh, you made it, each made 100? He said, no, we shared the $100.
Didn't you pay for the gas?
I says, well, whenever you're ready to do this, just let me know. Came in one day, he says, Graham, I'm ready to do it. I called the doctor, had his ears stitched. You can't even tell where they stitched. He had that done. I took him out. I bought him all new suits, all new shirts. He came in dressed like to the nines, like his grandfather did. You know, now he gets a little sloppier not sloppier, but it's not as formal. It's getting more casual. But he still dresses beautifully. And I created a monster, but and I says, now you're the president. I
And the
said,
back
"Now-"
says, business casual. That's a little too business, a little too casual.
You have to just pop in and remind them it's
Yeah.
your business, right?
Oh,
Well, thank you guys.
oh, you're welcome.
This was amazing.